Hello students, welcome back to our online lecture. Today we are discussing a very important and interesting topic, the meaning and nature of African philosophy. Before we begin, let me ask you a very important question. Were our African ancestors non-thinking people, or did Africa have philosophy before colonialism? Or are we only borrowing ideas from Europe? Now, these questions became serious because for a long and lasting time, some Western scholars claimed that Africa had no philosophy. But is that really true? We are going to see that. Let's find out together in this lesson whether this is true or not. First, what is African philosophy? Now you must understand that African philosophy is critical thinking done by Africans before African realities and experience. Now, a Nigerian philosopher, I think K.C. Ayaun, defined African philosophy as the way African people make sense of their destiny and the world they live in. So, African philosophy examines this: leadership in Africa, morality, religion, politics, community life, and governance. So just as Western philosophy helps Europeans understand their world, so also African philosophy helps Africans understand theirs. I don't know if you're understanding it now. So the question is, why was African philosophy questioned? Have you thought about that before? Now, Western civilization is built strongly on philosophy. Think of famous philosophers like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and a host of others like John Locke and others. They wrote books and developed structured system of thought. Because many African societies preserved knowledge orally instead of writing or writing books, some early Western scholars wrongfully or wrongly concluded that Africans are not philosophical. Now look at something. But let's ask ourselves this question. Does thinking only happen when something is written? Of course not, you know that. Now before writing even developed in Greece, people were already thinking deeply. So writing is not only the proof of philosophy. Do you understand that now? In Africa, ideas were preserved through proverbs, folktales, myths, wise saying, religious teachings, and others. Now look at it. For example, among the Igbos, I think we have proverbs like, if a child washes his hand, he will eat with kings. Now, what does this really mean? It means that hard work and good character can elevate a person. That is philosophy hidden inside a proverb. Can you see that now? Now, African philosophy often focuses strongly on morality, religion, community. Take note, morality, religion, and community. Now, one major thing that is boldly spelled out here is communalism. That is the idea that a person exists within the community. Look at something. Africa has many languages, many culture, many religions. So there is not just one single African philosophy. There are plethorias. There are many of them. Just like Europe has different philosophies, Africa also has diversity of thought. Now, diversity here does not mean absence. Okay? Are you understanding? Now let's examine the main school of African philosophy. Let's just check. Pay close attention to these so that you don't miss it. Pay close attention to these approaches of African philosophy. Number one, we have ethno-philosophy. Now, this approach says that African philosophy is found in cultural beliefs, proverbs, myths, traditional practices. Are you getting that? Now, even one scholar who supported this idea is Placide Tempest. Another was Leopold Sédar Senghor, I think, who promoted negritude, that is pride in Africa identity. But however, critics argue that collecting proverb is not enough. So philosophy must involve critical thinking. according to them. Now, number two school of thought or idea is the sage philosophy. Now, this was promoted by Eri Odera Oroku, something like that, when he stated that some wise individuals in African community think deeply and critically. So the ideas should not count as philosophy. However, his idea was also criticized. They argued that not all wisdom is philosophical. Do you get that now? I think number three, we have a professional philosophy. Now, this group says that African philosophy must be written, critical, academic, and systematic. So that is only trained philosophers who write books and articles are qualified under this approach. So they often reject ethno-philosophy. Now, I think we have number four, which are the nationalist or ideological philosophy. Now, these are philosopher or political philosophies developed by African leaders. We have the likes of Ujama by Julius Nyerere, Negritude by Leopold Sedar Senghor, and then we have Nkrumahism, that is by Kwame Nkrumah. And this philosophy, their aim is to promote African unity and development. Now we have the hermeneutic philosophy. Now this approach was suggested by Theophilus Okere when he stated that myths and proverbs are not philosophy by themselves, but when philosophers interpret them critically, philosophy emerges. So this process of interpretation is called hermeneutic philosophy, I think. Yeah. Now we have the literal and artistic philosophy. So some African writers express philosophical ideas through literature, and we have examples of such like Wole Soyinka and Chinua Achebe through his work Things Fall Apart and all that. So these are African writers who fought against colonialism and fought for African unity. So their works contain deep philosophical ideas and all. So in conclusion, you must understand from today's lecture that African philosophy exists. That's one. It is rooted in African experience. That's two. It appears in culture, religion, politics, and literature. So there are different schools of African philosophy. The debate helped strengthen African philosophy academically and otherwise. So I believe that through this lecture you have understood what African philosophy is, or what you need to understand. So let's take some class assignments, what you should do as an assignment. So before our next class, I want to define African philosophy in your own words. That's number one. Explain one school of thought of African philosophy. That's number two. Do you think proverbs qualify as philosophy? Why or why not? So I want you to answer this very important question. So thank you for watching, and I believe this lecture is very, very helpful to you. So if you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button, like and share, and make sure you drop your question on the comment section. We are going to see you in our next class, and until then, we are going to see again. Make sure you hit the like button, make sure you share, and make sure you drop your question on the comment section. We are going to see, and if you have not subscribed before, subscribe to this channel, online lecture, and turn on notifications so that anytime we come online or post a video, you'll be very much aware. I'll see you again in the next lecture, and please make sure you take those assignments very, very seriously, and make sure you do them. We are going to see you again in our next lecture. I believe that this time there are a lot of things we are going to learn about philosophy. See you in our next lecture.